What if the unthinkable happens? What if the San Francisco 49ers, one of the most talented teams in the NFL, actually lose to the Atlanta Falcons in Week 7? It's a question 49ers fans don't even want to imagine, but it's one that could completely change the tone of this season. Let's talk about what that would really mean for the team, the locker room, the playoff picture, and the fan base that's been dreaming of another Super Bowl run. The pressure mounts in San Francisco. The 49ers entered this season with sky-high expectations. With one of the league's most stacked rosters, Brock Purdy under center, Christian McCaffrey dominating the ground game, and a defense anchored by Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, anything short of a Super Bowl feels like failure. But football is unpredictable. Every season, every week, every play has the potential to flip a team's destiny. And when a team like the 49ers, built to win now, starts to stumble, the pressure doesn't just rise, it explodes. A loss to the Falcons would send shockwaves through the NFL. Why? Because Atlanta, while improving, isn't viewed as an elite opponent. Losing to them would raise questions about the 49ers' identity, consistency, and championship readiness. The emotional fallout. For the players, a Week 7 loss wouldn't just be another mark in the standings. It would sting deep. Think about it. This is a locker room filled with leaders. Fred Warner, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, these guys bleed red and gold. They've been through heartbreaks before, that Super Bowl loss, those NFC Championship defeats, and they know how fragile a season can become. A loss to the Falcons wouldn't just hurt their record, it would hurt their pride. The frustration would be visible on the sidelines, in the post-game interviews, and even in the quiet moments walking off the field. You'd see it in Bosa's stare, in Shanahan's tight-lipped expression, in the way the players avoid eye contact with the cameras. Because deep down, they'd know this wasn't supposed to happen. The media frenzy. If the 49ers lose, the headlines will explode overnight. Sports networks will go into overdrive. Is Brock Purdy regressing? Are the 49ers overhyped? Has the NFC's top team been exposed? Pundits love drama, and a 49ers loss to a team like Atlanta would give them all the fuel they need. Suddenly, every small mistake would be magnified. Every decision by Kyle Shanahan would be second-guessed. Every player would be under the microscope. The narrative could quickly shift from 49ers are unstoppable to 49ers are unraveling. And that's dangerous, because once doubt creeps into a locker room, it's hard to push it out. Brock Purdy. The spotlight tightens. Let's be honest. If San Francisco loses, the first name people will bring up is Brock Purdy. He's been praised as the perfect fit for Shanahan's system. Calm, smart, efficient. But critics have always been waiting for a slip-up, a reason to question if he's truly the franchise quarterback. A bad game or a loss to the Falcons would reignite that debate. Is Purdy the guy who can win it all, or just a system QB who struggles under pressure? Fair or not, the media doesn't wait for context. If Purdy throws an interception, misses a few open reads, or fails to deliver late in the fourth quarter, the backlash would be instant. And yet, that's the nature of being the guy. Legends are built not by how they play when everything's going right, but by how they respond when everything falls apart. If the 49ers lose, we'll learn a lot about Brock Purdy's mental toughness. Kyle Shanahan's challenge. For Kyle Shanahan, a Week 7 loss would be more than just disappointing. It would be a critical test of leadership. Shanahan's play-calling genius isn't in question. But when the 49ers lose games they're expected to win, fans start to wonder if his creativity sometimes works against him. Did he overthink the game plan? Did he get too cute on third down? Did he rely too much on the pass instead of letting McCaffrey control the clock?
A loss to the Falcons would magnify every decision he made, but more importantly, it would test his ability to rally the team. Because great coaches don't just draw up plays, they restore belief. Shanahan's real job after a loss like that would be to remind his players who they are, a battle-tested, championship-caliber group that doesn't fold under pressure. The locker room dynamics. In the aftermath of a loss like this, the energy in the locker room changes. You can feel it, the silence, the frustration, the disbelief. Veterans like Trent Williams and Fred Warner would have to step up and speak. They'd remind everyone that one loss doesn't define a season. But it's also a moment of truth, a time to see which players respond with accountability and which ones let emotions get the best of them. This is where culture matters. The 49ers have built one of the strongest locker room cultures in football. But adversity always tests unity. A shocking loss can either divide a team or strengthen it. The standings and playoff impact. Now, let's look at the practical side. A loss to the Falcons wouldn't destroy the 49ers' playoff hopes, but it could seriously complicate them. The NFC is stacked this year. The Eagles, Lions, and Cowboys are all fighting for the same top seeds. Every loss counts when you're competing for that precious first-round bye. Dropping a game to a lower-ranked opponent could push the 49ers out of the top seed conversation and force them into a tougher wildcard path later. Remember last year? The 49ers had to grind through multiple playoff games just to reach the NFC Championship. Another road-heavy playoff run would be exhausting for a team that's already dealt with injuries and pressure. The fan reaction. If there's one thing about 49ers fans, it's that they're passionate. Faithful to the Bay, yes, but also brutally honest when things go wrong. A loss to the Falcons would light up social media. You'd see frustration, disbelief, maybe even some panic. But underneath that, there'd be a shared emotion, fear. Fear that this team might once again fall short. Fear that another promising season could end like so many before it. Close, but not close enough. However, the faithful fan base has also seen this team bounce back before. They've watched them overcome injuries, heartbreak, and tough losses. So while the frustration would be real, so would the belief that this team can fix it. Could it be a wake-up call? Here's the flip side. Sometimes a loss like this can actually become the best thing that happens to a team. Think back to last season. The 49ers dropped a few unexpected games, and people panicked. But those losses lit a fire under them. They regrouped, refocused, and went on a dominant run. A Week 7 loss could have that same effect. It could humble them, sharpen them, and remind them that talent alone doesn't win games. Hunger does. The 49ers thrive when their backs are against the wall. Maybe that's what they'd need to truly hit their stride going into the second half of the season. The defensive reality check. Defensively, a loss would raise some serious red flags. The Falcons' offense is solid, but not elite. If Atlanta manages to carve up the 49ers' defense, with Bijan Robinson running wild or Drake London burning coverage, it would signal deeper problems. Is the pass rush not clicking? Are they struggling to adjust to new schemes? Are the defensive backs losing discipline? Nick Bosa and company pride themselves on physical dominance. A subpar performance would spark internal urgency and possibly push the front office even closer to making that rumored trade for a pass rusher. Sometimes, embarrassment fuels change, and that could be the silver lining. A defining moment awaits. Every great team faces a defining moment in its season. Sometimes it comes in the form of a thrilling win, sometimes in a painful loss. If the 49ers lose to the Falcons, it would force them to look inward, to ask the hard questions, to confront their flaws.
And that's where true greatness is forged, not in comfort, but in crisis. Fred Warner said it best once, "We don't want easy. Easy doesn't make you great." A loss would hurt, but it might also harden them into the kind of team that can survive January football.
The bigger picture.
So, what if the 49ers lose against the Falcons in Week 7? It would be a shock. It would be disappointing. It would raise doubts.
But it wouldn't be the end.
The true measure of the San Francisco 49ers isn't whether they avoid adversity, it's how they respond to it. If this team can take a loss, learn from it, and come back stronger, then it becomes part of their story, not the end of it. Because champions aren't defined by perfection, they're defined by resilience. And if history tells us anything, it's that the 49ers have plenty of that left in them.